Younglings, and today I'm going to share with you some of my top tips on how I revised English literature at A level, and I got a banging mark at the end. Now I'm going to split this video up into two sections. The first one is going to be novel tips, and the second one is going to be tips on how to revise poetry. So let's get into it. Now the first tip I have to give you is chapter by chapter analysis. Now what I mean by this is reading one chapter and highlighting quotes that stick out to you, and then you attach that quote to a particular theme in the book. So after you've read the chapter, you get some paper and you write down the quote and then you analyze it. Just say a few sentences about why that quote is important, or what it reveals about that theme, what it reveals about the author or the person who said it. It just gets your brain stirring with ideas. It helps you develop a depth of understanding of the novel, and it also gives you like ready-made ideas for an essay. So when it comes to writing an essay, you can just go to your chapter by chapter analysis and see, okay, if the question's on a particular theme, I got quotes for this theme and I've already slightly analyzed them, so I know what I'm doing. I think this really helps for all learners, because if you're a kinesthetic learner, then you're learning by doing. If you're a visual learner, you've written it down so you have a visual aid. And if you're an oral learner, then you just go through your chapter by chapter analysis every once in a while and just read it aloud to yourself. Simples. I did this for Wuthering Heights in my A level, and this is what my book looked like. I had the chapter by chapter analysis, but I gave it away at the end of my A levels because I didn't want anything to remind me of that time. I had a colour code for each theme, and I think I could tell you what they are now because they're in the book. Blue was for identity and characterization. Pink was for love and relationships. Where is the pink though? So I colour coded everything. The blues for identity and characterization, and then I had a blue highlighter. Let me see if I can. And then I had blue highlighter as well. The green was for nature and setting. Pink was for love and relationships. I didn't have a pink thingy, post-it note, but I had pink highlighter, so I would go through the chapter, and if I saw the pink highlighter, I knew that was love and relationships. And then yellow was for symbolism, and that was all. And doing this is kind of like having a checklist. You're able to go through each chapter, and then once you're done, you know that you've thoroughly analysed that entire chapter. Once you've done the whole book, you know you thoroughly analysed that entire book, and you feel more prepared. My second tip would be to make character posters. So like in Wuthering Heights, you have different characters, and those characters are very important, and they have particular relationships with other characters. So you can make a pretty little poster, something that appeals to you. You can have a drawing on it, or you can have it with calligraphy or some fancy handwriting. And then you put on the poster relationships with other people, particular quotes about them, or particular quotes that they have said that highlight something important, and you put it somewhere where you frequent, and then you're going to read that. It's more of a focused analysis than the chapter by chapter one, because you can do a character and identity, but that's for the entire book and it doesn't really separate the characters, where this one would be a separate record, and it's more focused if a question is on two particular characters. My third tip would be to read past essays, not to steal their ideas, not exactly, but to take their critical comments, or to get a better understanding of how to structure essays, what examiners like to see, of the level of conciseness that they have in their essay. If you struggle with that, I waffle a lot. Also, for their comparisons to other texts. It can be hard to find out what wider reading you should be doing. But if you read another person's essay and they've used 1984, then you know that 1984 is a good book, especially if they've gotten a good mark. This wasn't really an option for me at the time because I was doing it for the first year, but I did have specimen papers, so use specimen papers, use last year's past papers, and you'll be golden. It gives a great starting point on exactly where to look for critical commentary as well, because that's even harder to find for me than wider reading. My fourth tip for you would be essay plans. And when I mean essay plans, I mean in-depth essay plans. So break it down in introduction, what you want to say in your introduction. You don't have to write it in prose, it can be bullet points. Then break it down into paragraph 1, 2, 3. Put in the quotes that you want to use, put in the point you're making, the analysis of your point, and how you're linking it back to the question. Then it makes writing that essay so easy because you've basically done it. You just need to put it in prose. And then when you're going back to revise, you can look exactly at the points that you used before, and you have a nice little system, almost like a huge flashcard on a particular essay question that is very useful for the actual exam because it's in context. And then you can upgrade the level of your essay plan with your teacher's feedback, because you can add in, you can help. And then when you get your teacher's feedback, it can help you analyze your strengths, your weaknesses, things that you do very well, and then you can include that in other essay plans. And it's just a hub of resources. And when I say analyzing your weaknesses, I mean if one of your teacher's feedback is that you need more quotes, then you can put like a Q. Or if they say that your context need work, you need to sort out what context you're using, you can use a C. And then when you're going through your essay plans, you can see what key you used, what were your weaknesses for that particular topic, and work on it, and then revision. And my final tip is to read. Now that might seem obvious because you're doing English, so you're going to be reading, but reading around the author of the novel that you're studying so you can get an idea for their writer's voice, for the particular techniques that they use. So you can mention that in an essay, and you can say, this is very typical of this author because they've used this in their other novel as well. And then you can also read around the genre on a whole and say, is this typical of a romance novel? Is this typical of a romance novel at this time? If it is, well then, this is typical. If it isn't, well then this isn't typical. My god, why did she do that? You can read around the time that the novel was written so you can get an idea of context, and it expands your vocabulary as well. That can help you seem sophisticated in your writing style, because that's something that they care about. Make links between different authors. It gives you a library for wider reading, and it's fun. I'm assuming that if you're taking English literature at A level, you like to read, so it can be kind of relaxing as well. If you don't like to read, then boy, I feel sorry for you. In conclusion, those are my 5 tips that I use to study English at A level, and I hope that they help you too. If they did help you, then please give this video a thumbs up so that I know that you rate me and you rate my content. Now I'm going to be putting up a separate video for the poetry. Ow! Ow! Really hurt. As I was saying, I'm going to put up a separate video. The sun has come out to play. This outro is not happening, guys. Whew. I'll put up a separate video of my poetry guide, and I'll link it maybe in this video or in the description box below. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for finding my side of the internet and for hearing my theoretical perspective. I really hope that you guys liked it, and hopefully I'll see you next time.